They say every revolution begins with a single spark. They say the mightiest fortress can fall from within. But what happens when the spark ignites inside someone who's been playing with fire all along? What happens when the revolution you started becomes the monster that consumes you? Today, Ethan Reed will discover that destroying a system of bullying might require becoming the biggest bully of all. Tuesday, 11:45 a.m. Ethan sits through AP History, watching the clock while Ms. Patterson discusses the French Revolution. The irony isn't lost on him, learning about systematic upheaval while planning one. The revolutionaries believed they were creating a better world, Ms. Patterson explains. But the terror that followed killed more innocents than the monarchy ever did. Sometimes, the cure becomes worse than the disease. David Kim takes notes diligently beside him, having positioned himself as Ethan's protégé in Shadow Council operations. The former idealist now excels at identifying problematic students for intervention. Remember, Ms. Patterson continues, making eye contact with several known operatives. Stability requires sacrifice. Those who disrupt natural order often destroy the very people they claim to protect. It's not subtle. She knows something's coming. At 11:58, Ethan raises his hand. May I use the restroom? 2 minutes before bell? Wait like everyone else, Mr. Reed. It's urgent. She studies him with the calculating look. All Shadow Council members perfect. Very well. But return promptly. Ethan leaves, feeling David's suspicious gaze follow him. The hallways are empty, most students still trapped in classrooms. He moves quickly but not suspiciously toward the institute's mailroom. The package sits innocuously among routine deliveries, a padded envelope addressed to Educational Excellence Committee. Ethan pockets it and turns to find James Carter blocking his exit. Interesting timing for mail retrieval, Carter observes. I'm running an errand for Victoria. New training materials from the national office. Without escort? That's not protocol. Check with her if you want. Though she seemed stressed about the mole investigation when she asked me. Carter's eyes narrow, but mentioning the investigation triggers his paranoia about appearing suspicious himself. Proceed. But all packages require security screening. Of course. I'll deliver it directly to her office. Ethan exits calmly, package burning in his pocket. Inside is either Underground's weapon to destroy Shadow Council or his own death warrant. The bell rings, flooding hallways with students. Ethan uses the crowd as cover, ducking into the abandoned music room where he first confronted Derek Matthews years ago. The package contains 3 items, a USB drive, a single sheet of paper, and a small electronic device. The paper reads, USB contains complete Shadow Council database, names, operations, financial records, video evidence. Device broadcasts on emergency frequency. Activation triggers media dump to every major outlet simultaneously. Once started, cannot be stopped. Building evacuation recommended. Your extraction team awaits signal. Burn it all down. R. Ethan stares at career-ending, life-destroying power in his hands. One button press exposes everything, Shadow Council's nationwide network, their crimes, their members. Including him. Fascinating reading? Ethan spins to find Olivia Chen in the doorway, perfectly calm despite catching him with clearly sensitive materials. Olivia, I can explain. No need. We've suspected you for weeks. She enters, closing the door behind her. The question was whether you were Underground's mole or just amateur resistance. If you suspected me, why not act? Because you've been invaluable. Your infiltration taught us Underground's methods, confirmed their existence, identified their assets. We fed you exactly what we wanted them to know. The revelation hits like physical blow. His entire mission, compromised from the beginning? You're lying. Am I? Think about it, Ethan. Every piece of intelligence you gathered, we allowed. Every transmission you made, we monitored. Every small victory you achieved, we orchestrated. She pulls out her phone, showing intercepted communications. His secure messages to Underground, decoded and analyzed. We've known about Ms. Rodriguez for months. About the Riverside Mill meetings. About their entire network. You weren't a spy, you were bait. Then why continue the charade? To identify every Underground asset simultaneously. Your final package triggered responses from cells nationwide. We're conducting synchronized raids as we speak. Ethan's hand moves toward the activation device, but Olivia shakes her head. Dr. Chen is with your parents right now. David Kim has teams watching your known associates. Press that button, and everyone you care about suffers consequences. You're threatening innocence? We're protecting society from chaos. Your revolution would destroy structures keeping millions safe. Yes, our methods seem harsh. But alternative is anarchy. Your methods are systematic bullying on massive scale. Our methods maintain order, prevent violence, channel aggression constructively. Without us, schools become battlegrounds. The door opens again. David enters with Michael Torres and Amanda Kim, all armed with tasers. Sorry, Ethan, David says without sympathy. But you knew the price of betrayal. David, they made you into everything you fought against. They made me effective, powerful, purposeful, better than the scared, paranoid kid I was. Listen to yourself. I am listening. For the first time, I hear clarity instead of chaos. David's transformation is complete. He genuinely believes Shadow Council saved him. Olivia extends her hand. The package, Ethan. This ends peacefully, or it ends badly. Choose. Ethan weighs options. Submit and save his loved ones while condemning thousands to continued oppression. Resist and potentially destroy Shadow Council while sacrificing everyone close to him. You know what's funny? Ethan says, stalling while thinking. You talk about preventing chaos, but you create it. Every bully you train, every victim you break, you're not maintaining order. You're perpetuating cycles of abuse. Controlled cycles, Michael interjects. Managed pain preventing greater suffering. Tell that to Jake Morrison. Silence falls at the name. Even Shadow Council operatives show discomfort discussing certain outcomes. Jake was unfortunate, Olivia admits. But his instability threatened hundreds. One tragedy preventing many, harsh mathematics of leadership. Jake wasn't unstable until you made him that way. Just like you made David into this. Ethan gestures at his former ally. How many Jake Morrisons have you created? How many David Kims? Fewer than would exist without our intervention. Victoria Hartwell's voice comes from hidden speaker. Security footage shows you're stalling, Mr. Reed. Decide now. Ethan looks at David one last time. I'm sorry for what I helped them do to you. Save your pity. I'm exactly where I want to be. Maybe that's the cruelest part. David isn't pretending. The bullied has become the bully and loves it. Ethan pulls out the device. You know what real strength looks like? It's not controlling others. It's refusing to be controlled. He presses the button. For a moment, nothing happens. Then every phone in the building starts buzzing simultaneously. Emergency alerts, social media notifications, news updates, the data dump has begun. Lockdown protocol. Olivia shouts into her radio. All units converge on music room. Target is hostile. David lunges with his taser, but Ethan's 3 years of studying bullies included self-defense preparation. He sidesteps, using David's momentum to send him crashing into desks. Michael and Amanda advance more carefully, trying to box him in. But the room explodes with chaos as students throughout the building see the leaked documents. Oh my God, is this real? Shadow Council? What the hell? They've been controlling everything. The revolution has begun, and information spreads faster than any lockdown can contain. The hallways erupt into pandemonium. Students who moments ago followed routine now face reality that their entire social structure was engineered manipulation. Some refuse to believe it. Others embrace the chaos. Most simply panic. Ethan bursts from the music room as Olivia coordinates damage control. All operatives to positions. Contain the situation. Maintain order. But order is the first casualty when systematic lies get exposed. You, a sophomore, points at Sarah Mueller. You were part of this. You destroyed my sister. Sarah backs away as angry students surround her. The leaked documents include detailed records of operations, who targeted whom, which students were driven to break down, how many transfers were orchestrated. Derek Matthews, now in community college but on campus for alumni event, finds himself cornered by former victims. 3 years. 3 years you tortured us because they told you to? I was protecting you. Derek insists, falling back on Shadow Council doctrine. Without structure, without hierarchy. Without your boot on our necks, you mean. Someone throws a punch, and violence erupts. This is what underground feared, revolution becoming mob rule. Ethan fights through crowds, trying to reach the main office where automated systems continue broadcasting evidence. Ethan. Ms. Rodriguez appears from a maintenance corridor. This way. He follows her through passages he never knew existed. You're here? Extraction team, remember? Though this is messier than planned. They knew about us. The whole time, they knew. Not everything. Or they would have stopped the data dump. She hands him an earpiece. Underground frequency. We're coordinating nationally. Voices flood through, cells across the country reporting similar chaos as Shadow Council operations get exposed simultaneously. Phoenix cell reporting, local news has the story. Detroit cell, police moving on institute facilities. Boston cell, federal investigators launching inquiries. The scope is staggering. Shadow Council's network spans 50 cities, hundreds of schools, thousands of operatives. All exposed in minutes. They reach the main office where Principal Johnson frantically shreds documents. He sees them and pulls a gun from his desk. Always knew you'd be trouble, Rodriguez. Should have had you removed years ago. It's over, Johnson. Put the weapon down. Over? This is just beginning. You think exposing us solves anything? You've created a power vacuum. Every petty tyrant and would-be bully will rush to fill it. He's not wrong. Outside, the chaos intensifies. Without Shadow Council's systematic control, suppressed aggression explodes randomly. Former victims attack former bullies. Social groups turn on each other. Teachers struggle to maintain any semblance of order. See? Johnson gestures at monitors showing hallway cameras. This is your revolution. Children hurting children without purpose or control. We gave their aggression meaning. Direction. Limits. You gave them permission to be monsters, Ethan counters. We gave them structure to contain their monstrosity. Now you've released it all. Security arrives, not school security, but underground operatives in tactical gear. Johnson surrenders, knowing resistance is futile. Secure the building, Ms. Rodriguez commands. Protect the innocent, detain Shadow Council operatives, maintain evidence integrity. Ethan returns to the hallways, now resembling a war zone. He finds David Kim standing over a beaten freshman, fists bloody. David, stop. David turns, eyes wild. He was spreading lies about the council. Saying we were evil. We helped people. Look around. Is this helping? This is what happens without us. Chaos. Violence. Disorder. David seems genuinely confused by the collapse of his worldview. We were saving them from this. You were perpetuating it. Every bully you trained created more violence. Every victim you broke generated more anger. You didn't solve anything, you just managed the symptoms while feeding the disease. Then what's the solution? Let everyone tear each other apart? It's the critical question. Destroying oppressive systems is easier than building better ones. Revolution breaks chains but doesn't automatically create freedom. The solution is teaching people to resolve conflicts without domination. To build hierarchies on merit and consent, not fear and manipulation. Pretty words. But look at them. David gestures at the chaos. They're animals without leadership. They're humans without tyrants. There's a difference. Victoria Hartwell's voice echoes over the intercom, attention all students. Remain calm. Shadow Council operations have been temporarily disrupted by terrorist action. Normal order will be restored momentarily. But her words lack usual authority. Hard to maintain psychological control when everyone has seen evidence of your crimes. In the cafeteria, Jessica Hartwell faces a crowd of former victims. Her usual poise crumbles under their accusations. Every rumor you spread, every reputation you destroyed, it was all calculated? I was maintaining social standards. Jessica insists. Without someone setting boundaries. Without you deciding who belonged and who didn't, you mean. A girl Jessica tormented to transfer stands forward. I changed schools because of you. Lost all my friends. Nearly killed myself. That wasn't my intention. No, your intention was to remove a disruptive element. I read the files. That's what you called me. The confrontation multiplies across campus. Every Shadow Council operative faces their victims, now armed with documentation of systematic abuse. Some operatives, like Michael Torres, try to flee. Others, like Amanda Kim, break down crying as they realize the full scope of harm they caused. A few, like Olivia Chen, maintain their ideology despite evidence. You've destroyed everything, Olivia tells Ethan when underground operatives arrest her. Decades of careful construction, maintaining peace through controlled conflict. Now watch your precious freedom tear itself apart. Maybe. Or maybe people will learn to coexist without manufactured hierarchies. Hierarchies aren't manufactured. They're natural. We just guided their formation. Now they'll form randomly, brutally, without purpose. She's escorted away, unrepentant to the end. True believers are always the last to fall. By afternoon, local news swarms the campus. Parents arrive in panic. Police establish perimeters. Federal investigators begin processing the massive data dump. The revolution has succeeded in its immediate goal, Shadow Council is exposed and disrupted. But harder work lies ahead. 3 days later. Maplewood High remains closed as investigations continue. Ethan sits in a federal prosecutor's office, providing testimony about his infiltration and Shadow Council operations. You understand, Mr. Reed, that you participated in criminal activities during your undercover work? I understand. I also understand that without that participation, we'd never have exposed their network. The prosecutor, Janet Morrison, Jake Morrison's aunt, has personal stake in the case. Tell me about the psychological breaking protocols. How exactly did they destroy my nephew? Ethan details Protocol 7, the systematic destruction of resistant individuals. Each word feels like confession, acknowledging his complicity in similar operations. You helped recruit David Kim into the system? To maintain my cover and gather intelligence, yes. And now David Kim faces charges for assault, psychological torture, and conspiracy. Because you recruited him. The guilt is suffocating. He was targeted for destruction regardless. I thought recruitment might save him. Save him? Look at his psychological evaluation. She slides a report across the desk. Severe personality changes, empathy deficits, aggression disorders. You didn't save him, you helped break him. I know. No excuse suffices. Necessary evils are still evil. The underground wants you pardoned for your service. Shadow Council victims want you prosecuted as collaborator. I have to decide which serves justice better. What serves justice is ensuring this never happens again. How? By destroying every social structure that might become corrupted? By treating every popular kid as potential tyrant? By teaching healthy leadership? By addressing bullying systematically without becoming bullies ourselves? By creating accountability for those in power? Easy words. Implementation is harder. She's right. Post-revolution reconstruction always proves messier than revolutionary ideals. Outside, Maplewood High prepares to reopen under new administration. Ms. Rodriguez serves as interim principal, underground operatives provide security, and trauma counselors work overtime. But problems emerge immediately. Some students want all former Shadow Council members expelled. Others argue for rehabilitation. Parents demand both absolute safety and minimal supervision. Teachers struggle without clear hierarchies. It's chaos, David tells Ethan during a supervised meeting. Legal proceedings prevent unsupervised contact, but David requested this conversation. It's adjustment. People learning to interact without manufactured structures. You mean without any structures? Lunch tables have become battle zones. Study groups are paralyzed by power struggles. Every decision requires committee approval that never comes. He's not entirely wrong. In Shadow Council's absence, new problems emerge. Bullying continues but less systematically. Cliques form around different principles. Some students, accustomed to clear hierarchies, flounder without them. At least now victims can report abuse without being targeted for disruption, Ethan counters. Can they? Sarah Mueller reported harassment yesterday. Know what happened? Nothing. Because everyone's so afraid of becoming oppressive, nobody wants to exercise authority. That's temporary overcorrection. Balance will come. Will it? Or will we just trade systematic oppression for chaotic cruelty? David leans forward. I'm not defending what I became. But destroying a bad system doesn't automatically create a good one. The conversation haunts Ethan because David, despite his transformation, makes valid points. Revolution removed Shadow Council but hasn't yet built healthy alternatives. Over following weeks, Maplewood becomes a social experiment. Some initiatives succeed: peer mediation programs, transparent disciplinary processes, elected student leadership. Others fail spectacularly. Attempted pure democracy paralyzes decision-making. Absence of structure enables new forms of manipulation. Jessica Hartwell, facing social exile, approaches Ethan after court hearing. Satisfied? You've destroyed everything I worked for. Everything you worked for was built on others' pain. Was it? Yes, I hurt people. But I also provided structure, standards, something to aspire to or rebel against. Now what do they have? Freedom to define themselves. Freedom to drift without purpose. Watch Sarah Mueller. Without me to define her opposition, she's lost. Marcus Webb can't function without someone telling him where he fits. Even you seem uncertain without us to fight against. Her observation stings because it contains truth. Many students struggle without clear social structures, even oppressive ones. Freedom from tyranny doesn't equal freedom to flourish. National media covers Maplewood as either cautionary tale or inspiring victory, depending on agenda. But reality resists simple narratives. Some days feel like progress as students learn healthy interaction. Other days regression seems inevitable as old patterns reassert. The underground, flush with victory, pushes for aggressive expansion. Strike while Shadow Council is weak, Ms. Rodriguez urges. Expose remaining cells, prosecute all operatives, ensure complete destruction. But Ethan sees dangers in that approach. We risk becoming what we fought, another group claiming to know what's best for everyone. Someone has to guide reconstruction. Guide, not control. Support, not manipulate. The moment we start engineering social outcomes, we become shadow counsel with different ideology. The argument reflects broader tensions. Revolutionary movements always face the transition from destruction to construction, from opposition to governance. Maintaining moral clarity during that transition proves nearly impossible. 1 month post-revolution, Ethan attends a community meeting about Maplewood's future. Parents, students, teachers, and administrators gather to establish new policies. The discussions are messy, contentious, often circular. Without shadow counsel's hidden hand guiding outcomes, every stakeholder fights for their vision. Some want strict anti-bullying measures that border on oppressive. Others want minimal rules that enable new problems. We need clear hierarchies, one parent argues. Children need structure. Structure created this mess, another counters. Let them figure things out themselves. What about accountability, a teacher asks. Who decides what's bullying versus normal conflict? Round and round they go, democracy's inefficiency on full display. Ethan watches Derek Matthews in the back, court-ordered to attend as part of his sentence. During break, Derek approaches. This is painful to watch. Democratic process usually is. Know what shadow counsel would do. 3 key people shifted, 2 policies adjusted, 1 narrative pushed, meeting ends with predetermined outcome everyone thinks they chose. That's exactly the manipulation we exposed. Is it worse than this chaos? Derek gestures at arguing factions. They'll debate forever without shadow counsel forcing decisions. Maybe that's better than forced consensus. Maybe. Or maybe you'll discover why every society develops shadow counsels eventually. Someone always fills the void between official power and actual influence. The warning proves prophetic. Within weeks, new power structures emerge at Maplewood. Not shadow counsel's systematic control, but organic hierarchies based on charisma, ability, or simple aggression. Some improve on old systems. Others merely redistribute oppression. Ethan works with student leadership to address emerging problems, but without systematic approach, solutions remain piecemeal. Every intervention risks accusations of becoming new shadow counsel. Every non-intervention enables harmful dynamics. We've traded one problem for many, David observes during therapy session Ethan attends as support. At least shadow counsel was coherent evil. Now we have incoherent struggles. Incoherent struggle toward justice beats coherent oppression, Ethan maintains. Does it? Jake Morrison killed himself under coherent oppression. How many will suffer under incoherent freedom? No easy answers exist. Revolution destroyed a corrupt system but guarantees no better replacement. Progress happens in fits and starts, victories mixed with setbacks, idealism tempered by reality. 3 months after the revolution. Maplewood High functions, but differently. Shadow counsel's systematic control is gone, replaced by messier but more authentic dynamics. Ethan walks hallways no longer mapped for avoidance. Students interact more freely, though some freedom enables cruelty shadow counsel would have prevented. Bullying still occurs but faces actual consequences. Hierarchies exist but shift based on merit rather than manipulation. Not the utopia you imagined? Ms. Rodriguez asks during their weekly debrief. Utopia was never the goal. Just something better than systematic oppression. And is this better? Ethan considers. Test scores have dropped without shadow counsel's pressure systems. Disciplinary incidents increased initially, though now stabilizing. Some students thrive in freedom while others struggle without structure. It's more honest. Problems exist openly rather than being managed secretly. People face consequences for their actions rather than being protected by the system. Unless they're skilled at working without systematic protection. New bullies emerge who don't need shadow counsel support. True. Some students discovered they never needed institutional backing to torment others. Shadow counsel controlled bullying but also monopolized it. Now it's democratized, better in principle, complex in practice. A freshman approaches nervously. Ethan? Could I talk to you? Of course, Marcus. What's going on? There's this group of juniors. They're not shadow counsel or anything, but they've been pressuring kids for homework, money, stuff like that. Old-fashioned bullying without ideological framework. Almost refreshing in its simplicity. Have you reported it? Yeah, but they're careful. No evidence, no patterns. They learn from shadow counsel's mistakes. Evolution in action. New predators adapt to post-revolution environment. I'll look into it. Meanwhile, document everything. We exposed shadow counsel through careful documentation, same principle applies. Marcus leaves, and Ethan reflects on becoming what he once was, someone quietly fighting bullies. The cycle continues, but context has changed. His phone buzzes with a message from David, "Group therapy tonight. You coming?" Ethan attends when possible, supporting former Shadow Council operatives working through their transformation. Some, like David, genuinely struggle with what they became. Others resist acknowledging harm they caused. A few embrace their actions entirely. Tonight's session includes Sarah Mueller, Marcus Webb, and surprisingly, Olivia Chen on supervised release. "I want to understand," Sarah says, tears flowing. "How did I become someone who enjoyed hurting others? That's not who I was." "Shadow Council gave you permission," the therapist explains. "They reframed cruelty as kindness, oppression as protection. They made you believe hurting others served greater good. But part of me liked it. The power, the control. What does that make me?" David answers quietly. "Human. We all have capacity for cruelty. Shadow Council just cultivated ours." Olivia scoffs. "Still making excuses? You chose every action. Shadow Council provided framework, but you provided enthusiasm. Like you provided enthusiasm for destroying lives?" Marcus challenges. "I provided structure to contain chaos. Look at your school now, bullying continues, just less efficiently. Congratulations on your Pyrrhic victory." Even in therapy, she maintains ideology. True believers rarely change, only adapt. After session, Ethan walks with David. Former hunter and hunted, now bound by shared trauma. "Think we'll ever be normal?" David asks. "Define normal. Everyone carries damage. Ours is just more visible. I dream about it sometimes. The power, the control. Part of me misses it. That's the insidious part. They made us love our chains." They pass the spot where David first confronted Ethan about Shadow Council, roles now reversed in ways neither imagined. "I'm testifying tomorrow," David says. "About recruitment, training, operations. Full disclosure. That's brave. Or stupid. I'll be confessing to crimes. While exposing larger crimes. Context matters. Does it? Tell that to my victims." No easy comfort exists. David must live with his actions regardless of manipulation that prompted them. Free will becomes complex when systematically undermined. Next morning, federal courthouse. The first major Shadow Council trial begins with Victoria Hartwell as primary defendant. Charges include conspiracy, racketeering, psychological torture, and contributing to minors' delinquency. Ethan testifies first, detailing infiltration and operations observed. His testimony provides crucial insider perspective on systematic nature of abuse. "The Shadow Council wasn't random bullying," he explains. "It was coordinated psychological warfare against children. They identified natural leaders and either recruited or destroyed them. They maintained detailed files on every student, tracking vulnerabilities and pressure points." Defense attorney challenges, "You participated in these activities, correct? While undercover, yes. So you're equally guilty of these alleged crimes?" "I'm guilty of specific actions taken to maintain cover and gather evidence. The prosecution has that information." How convenient. Commit crimes while claiming noble purpose. "The difference is I stopped when the mission ended." Shadow Council operatives continued indefinitely, making cruelty their career. David testifies next, detailing his recruitment and transformation. His honest acknowledgement of enjoying power makes powerful impact. "They didn't just make me hurt people," he admits. "They made me believe I was helping them. Every cruel act felt like mercy. Every destroyed life seemed like salvation. That's their true evil, making monsters who think they're heroes." Victoria maintains composure throughout until parents of suicide victims testify. Hearing how Shadow Council operations drove children to death finally cracks her facade. "We never intended." She begins, then stops. For first time, the weight of consequences registers. The trial continues for weeks, exposing Shadow Council's full scope. Financial records reveal corporate funding from companies believing they were supporting leadership development. Political connections show officials' children receive protection from targeting. The corruption runs deeper than anyone imagined. But trials also reveal post-revolution challenges. Defense attorneys argue Shadow Council filled necessary role, presenting statistics on increased violence and decreased academic performance since dissolution. "My clients provided structure," lead defense argues. Yes, their methods were extreme. But examine the alternative: chaos, degradation, children hurting each other without purpose or limit. Prosecutor Janet Morrison counters brilliantly, the defense argues systematic torture prevents random cruelty. That's like saying organized crime prevents street violence. The solution to bullying isn't better bullying, it's justice. The verdict comes after 3 weeks, guilty on all major counts. Victoria receives 25 years, other leadership similar sentences. Lower-level operatives get reduced sentences with rehabilitation requirements. Outside courthouse, reaction split. Victims celebrate justice while Shadow Council supporters protest persecution of educators. Media spins narratives supporting their biases. Truth remains complex, resistant to simple categorization. We won, Ms. Rodriguez tells Ethan at Victory Gathering. Did we? Shadow Council is gone, but what we built to replace it remains uncertain. You wanted perfect victory? This is reality, messy, incomplete, but moving forward. She's right. Revolution succeeded in destroying systematic oppression. Whether it creates lasting justice remains to be seen. That night, Ethan receives unexpected visitor, Jessica Hartwell. Relax, I'm not here for revenge, she says, noting his tension. I wanted to thank you. Thank me? For destroying who I was. I hated it, the person Shadow Council made me. But I was trapped, couldn't break free alone. You freed me through destruction. That's not how I expected this conversation to go. Expectations were Shadow Council's weapon. Do the unexpected. She hands him an envelope. Names and locations of remaining cells. Consider it penance. She leaves before he can respond. The envelope contains detailed intelligence on Shadow Council operations in 12 cities, information that could prevent thousands of future victims. Ethan stares at the gift from his former tormentor. Revolution creates strange allies, breaking some people while freeing others. Jessica found liberation in defeat while David found damnation in victory. The ironies multiply, resist easy categorization. Heroes become villains, become heroes again. Victims transform into perpetrators, then back to victims. Simple narratives collapse under weight of human complexity. But through that complexity, progress happens. Slow, messy, uncertain, but real. Shadow Council's systematic oppression is broken. What rises from its ashes depends on choices made every day by ordinary people refusing to accept extraordinary cruelty. The war is won. The peace remains to be built. Next time on The Silent Roar, final episode, New Order. The final chapter determines whether that change leads to lasting justice or merely different forms of injustice. Because the hardest battle isn't defeating tyrants, it's preventing yourself from becoming one.